Hi, my name is Weronika.
Today, in our New Year's special episode, we will learn some extra practical tips and lessons from the world's renowned billionaires, investors, and entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos, Mark Cuban, or Guy Spier. We will summarize key takeaways from their business and life strategies that you can easily apply to the way you plan your professional and personal life. Guy Spier. Billionaire Guy Spier is the founder of the Aquamarine Hedge Fund, a Warren Buffett-style investor and author of the best-selling book, The Education of the Value Investor. He shares his tip on having a sense of a beautiful life. Tip: giving people a little bit of joy. Guy Spier mentioned his idea of showing gratitude and appreciation, which he's been practicing for years, which is writing letters. This very idea of sharing with others his positive thoughts led him to establish some of the most unexpected and valuable relations he could have asked for. Showing your appreciation and caring for others is far more valuable in life than money because it connects you with people and provides you with a sense of having a beautiful life.
Are you still writing letters, and do you still put as much emphasis and weight on the power of writing letters? And explain to people what we mean by writing letters.
So, there's a part of my book where and this is why I said that comment, is that it's only because I wrote a thank you note to Monish Brai that he knew I existed. And after I wrote a thank you note to Monish Brai, he invited me for a dinner, it turned out. And that dinner changed my life. In fact, in my case, if you asked me whether I'd rather have that dinner with Monish Brai or that lunch with Warren Buffett, the dinner with Monish Brai was way more important for me. He introduced me to so many valuable things in that dinner I would have never have gotten to. So the way I write about it in the book, writing thank you letters, writing notes of appreciation increases optionality in your life. And the thing is that part of why I wanted to write the book is that people think, oh yeah, he met Monish Brai and then he had lunch with Warren Buffett, so he's a very lucky guy. And I wanted people to know that I didn't write one random note to Monish Brai. At that time, I was writing like 15 thank you notes a week, sort of like 3 a day. So when you add that up, that's of the order of hundreds a year. And when you compound that over 5 years, that's getting into the thousands of letters, thousands of people being touched. So I got into a sufficiently strong habit of doing that. What is it? The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too hard to break. But funnily enough, I have a hard time leaving the office unless I've penned something to somebody and stuck it into the 2-cent pile. And I've streamlined some of it. So any person who meets me personally will get some piece of physical mail from me at some point. Well, let's say that 80% of them will. 20%, for one reason or another, I'll decide that I don't want to send them something because they're not people that I want in my life. But the vast majority of people that I do want in my life, and I send them something. So yeah, I still do that. And at the core of it is whether it's a thank you note, whether it's a book, or whether it's just a small token of appreciation, is giving people a little bit of joy and a little bit of a sense that I'm glad that they exist. I think it's extremely powerful. I think it makes the world a better place and gives me a far more beautiful life.
Bill Gates. Billionaire Bill Gates is the co-founder of Microsoft, and he now runs the largest nonprofit in the entire world. He shares his tip on developing a trait that contributed to his success apart from family support and the right timing when founding a small tech company in times when only major corporate players were calling the shots at the time. Tip: make time to read and maintain curiosity to learn.
Being able to concentrate on something in an extreme way, is that nature, is it nurture? Maintaining curiosity, a lot of people lose curiosity in their 20s or 30s. So if you hand them a big, thick book, they're like, what, am I going to read that? I used to tell everybody to read Steven Pinker, but I think even as an intellectual framework, even better than Rosling. But I'm afraid a lot of people don't make time to read what's a fairly academic and super profound, both Better Angels of Our Nature and Enlightenment Now. And then, I was born at a time where I can go out and learn all these things. And then I have friends, if I'm trying to understand quantum computing, a lot of times I get confused. So it helps to have friends who can come and say, try to straighten you out. And it makes your willingness to try to learn something, even trying to understand tornadoes, which are this funny 3D thing, having somebody could show me where the visualization was and, okay, what are unique conditions. I don't think I would have done that if I didn't have a group of people that had stayed intellectually curious and that we had the internet to kind of feed us access to the latest things. So I think, the time I was born, meeting Paul, seeing the microprocessor, the idea that a young person can start a company here is a super nice thing, because although people at first are skeptical, as soon as they realized their normal model of what I knew and what I could do, that I didn't fit that normal model, then they assumed I knew way more than I did, and I could solve all sorts of problems I had no clue how to solve. But, it was nice that people were kind of agog that we had built this company and done these things from a young age.
Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a famous Silicon Valley billionaire who graduated from Stanford University. He did some derivatives trading at Credit Suisse before starting his own capital management company. Then he co-founded a little company called PayPal, which was then sold to eBay, which made him a billionaire. What's interesting is that Peter became Facebook's first outside investor when he acquired a 10% stake in the company. He shares what is the foundation of every entrepreneur's success, as well as every student, employee, or anyone who is determined to achieve their goals. Tip: have a plan for yourself and your future, even if it's a bad one. It's better than not thinking about it at all. It's important to have something to measure yourself against and make the odds work in your favor.
When you have a company that gets started, they often have a PowerPoint presentation. They will have a slide where they describe what the business is going to do. And you have one type of company where it's, well, we can do many different things. We can do A or B or C or D or E. And you have a company where it's, we are going to do A. The company that says A through E is always worse than the one that just says A, even though mathematically the opposite should be true. Mathematically, you'd say A through E has to be better than just A. But when you have A through E, it means that you've not really thought through any of these things very well, and probably they're all kind of bad, and they have not been thought through well. Whereas if you have a specific idea, it's a plan you can work against, coordinate against, measure yourself against, and try to improve. I used to play chess scholastically in junior high school in the U.S., and so one of the intermediate level chess things, you initially learn how to move the pieces and combinations and how to get to checkmate and things like that. But sort of one of the intermediate level things you learn in chess is that it's always good to have some kind of a plan. And even if it's a bad plan, it's something you can measure yourself against versus having no plan at all. So what are you trying to do? Something where you create options for many different plans is an anti-plan. It's a way, in effect, to avoid thinking about things. The education question that alluded to in the opening comments that we've come to think about is, I'm very much in favor of education. I think it's important. I think learning is important. But I think it's also very important to ask why you're learning, what is it for? And one of the strange paradoxes in the United States and many other countries is that education has become increasingly a status-driven credential where you simply get it in order to get other things. And it is, I think, the purest version of the indefinite future. And we can think of things like going to business school as maybe the most indefinite version of education, where why do you go to business school? In order to become a businessman. What sort of business? Doesn't matter. If you had a specific idea, that would actually be seen as a bad thing, because that would be like you were too narrow, too focused. And so we just create all these people who have these very general backgrounds. And you end up with this paradox where, what do you do at the end of your high school years? Don't know. You go to college. What did you do at the end of your college years? You don't know. You go to graduate school. What do you do at the end of your grad school years? You don't know, but you get some sort of job, not a job you want to do for the rest of your life, or that you think is important, but one that will be good for your resume and will help you in some somewhat poorly defined way in the future.
Mark Cuban. After being fired from his first job, billionaire Mark Cuban started his own company called MicroSolutions. Within a decade, Mark sold the company for $6 million and started a second business that streamed college sports over the internet. Within another decade, Mark sold his business for over $5 billion to Yahoo. Mark shares his idea of not allowing yourself to become under influence of others who are not in your shoes and don't know the whole story behind your decisions. Tip: don't take advice from people playing a different game.
You sell and they pay you in stock.
Yeah.
And post-sale, Yahoo struggles with the acquisition. They don't really know how to do it.
Well, no. Okay, so let's put it in context here, right? We sell the company, and I don't remember the exact price of Yahoo stock. It was like $250. From my perspective, this was April of 2000 when it closed, and I don't see the stock market just going up forever. I mean, literally, the NASDAQ just passed 5,000, which is where it was back then in 2000. You know, like I said, I traded stocks. I had started and sold a hedge fund. I understood what happens in the market, and gravy trains don't last forever. And so I'm like, look, this is crazy. It's always been a little crazy, but it's getting even too heated. I had to wait 6 months before I could hedge my stock, meaning buy an offset in case it went down. So I literally took every penny I had, 20-some million dollars in cash, and I put on an index against the entire market. And that put was for 6 months. But if the market crashed prior to that, I was as good as I could be. The market did crash. I lost every penny. But the minute I was allowed to, I hedged everything, right? Everybody thought I was an idiot. There's literally a CNBC interview where he said, Mark, don't you feel stupid? Yahoo stock is up another $100. And by this time, I'd already sold the Mavs. And I remember sitting on the team bus talking to our then coach and one of our coaches, Del Harris. And he goes, look at all that money you left on the table. And I'm like, literally in one day, the stocks were jumping so crazily. One day, I paid for the entire Mavericks in the stock move of one day. And they're like, but you left all this on the table. And I'm like, patience.
And last but not least, Jeff Bezos. Billionaire Jeff Bezos, currently the second richest man on earth, is the founder of Amazon and numerous other businesses within a 20-year period of time. Jeff got his start in retail, but his business quickly grew into a technical powerhouse by creating Amazon Web Services. Jeff Bezos shares his idea of how to stay ahead of the competition, manage a business, and work on continuous improvement. Tip: approach your work thinking of the future. Don't stay in the present. He claims that if you focus only on operational activities and short-term planning, you're staying behind, so you can't work on innovation and improvement of the future.
It's changed a lot, mostly just because it's had to. You know, the company has changed so much, and I can't, you know, when the company is 10 people or 100 people, I can be involved in every decision, not just the objectives, like what are we going to do, but even the methods, how are we going to do it? You know, the CEO or the founder or whoever it is leading the company cannot be involved in all of those decisions. They certainly cannot be involved in the methods of how things are going to get done. So you do have to change your leadership approach as the company scales. But the principles of the company have not changed. In fact, I probably spend more of my time now on culture and trying to set high standards for things like customer obsession and inventiveness and things like that. So for me, I'm kind of a teacher now, so it's changed quite a bit, and I have this great luxury. I love my job.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, like and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to watch other videos we made.
You should be prepared to talk about your contribution to the company's welfare in the future. Here's the thing. Most of the time we think that this is the right time for a raise because we already have performed a certain way until now, by fulfilling different requirements, key performance indicators, or financial targets. We think of ourselves as model employees, and therefore we approach the idea of earning more money for self-centered reasons.